Greetings, parish orphans and retrogrades. The Latin Mass, under attack over the last 3 summers from Pope Francis and his dicastery leaders, is now being pled for by United Kingdom cultural grandees who aren't even Catholic. Today, July 3rd, in a new Agatha Christie letter, they're begging the Vatican to keep the TLM. Many of them are not even Catholic. Some of them are. But in this new Agatha Christie letter, shades of 1971, we have non-Catholics begging for the life of the TLM. How odd is this? I thought people who weren't Catholic are anti-Catholic. That's kind of the story we tell. Fashion designer Paul Smith, novelist Agatha Christie, historian Tom Holland are all people who have now pled for the Latin Mass. But Agatha Christie and other cultural grandees did it over 50 years ago, after Vatican II concluded. And now we have similar, was Agatha Christie Catholic? I meant to check that. We have even more secular-leaning British cultural grandees begging for the life of that TLM to Pope Francis. Prominent UK figures, I'm reading from the Pillar. Prominent UK figures in the arts, business, journalism, and politics have appealed to the Vatican not to impose new restrictions on the extraordinary form of the Roman Rite known as the TLM. In a letter to the Times of London, published on July the 3rd, more than 40 signatories, Catholic and non-Catholic alike, including Downtown Abbey creator Julian Fellows, human rights activist Bianca Jagger, opera singer Kiri Te Kanawa, lamented, quote, worrying reports from Rome that the Latin Mass is to be banished from nearly every Catholic church. Sometimes as a trad Cath, we talk as if they don't even know what the TLM is. I mean, a lot of secular people don't. They don't even know that there's a Novus Ordo, that there's a Vetus Ordo, the TLM. And we console ourselves, well, we're special. We're a group of Catholics within a group. You know, secular people don't even know about the external group, the external valence shell that is modern Catholicism. Well, that's not really true. And it also means that some of this pride that we trad Caths have, or this tight group within a group, we're the ones that get it all right, is also really misplaced. Because a lot of these people are just like, I'd imagine Tom Holland, Paul Smith being like, why are you stripping the marble from your own Colosseum? I mean, it's one thing for vandals to do. External attackers, Visigoths, barbarians, they'll denude the Colosseum of its marble. But why are you guys doing that to yourself? It's just an interesting outside looking in perspective. Like, what's going on, dude? Well, I'll read some of this letter. I'll read more of the canon article, the Pillar article. And I'll give you my thoughts. Everyone's talking about it today. So this letter, it's called the New Agatha Christie letter because in 1971, actually July then as well, the Times of London published a letter with several British cultural grandees at the time, 53 years ago, who also weren't exclusively Catholic, who also were like, what the actual Pope Paul VI? Why would you guys get rid of this famous institution? Even we non-Catholics know what it is and value it. It's something that can't be like reproduced in the modern world. So that was July 1971. This is July 2024. Today, in today's letter, they say, we implore the Holy See to reconsider any further restriction of access to this magnificent spiritual and cultural heritage. Also signed by composer Andrew Lloyd Webber, historian Tom Holland, Princess Michael of Kent, a member of Britain's royal family, the Britishers, Britlanders. The letter explicitly echoed an appeal by artists and writers published by the Times of London in July 1971. The signatories of the earliest letter, including mystery writer Agatha Christie, novelist Graham Greene, who was Catholic, and violinist Yehudi Menuhin, expressed alarm at reports of a plan to obliterate the pre-Vatican II Mass. That appeal in 1971 reached Pope Paul VI, who is said to have exclaimed, "Ah, Agatha Christie," as he read the list of signatories. I want to stop here. These popes, these modern popes, it seems, that's how it strikes me. Ooh, I got a letter from Agatha Christie. Instead of, what am I doing? What am I doing here? What am I about to let happen? What was it, the very next year, 1972, that he admitted from some diabolic fissure, the smoke of Satan has entered the sanctuary? It was the Vatican II changes. It was the new Mass. So he would admit that a year later, all but admit it. But when he received due warning, I guess it was 1971, so the new Mass had been out for a year, but when he could have reversed course before the auto-demolition had another year of foothold, he was just impressed, oh, this is Agatha Christie. Pope Francis recently met with like a bunch of really, really anti-Christian secular comedians, all the biggest names, all of whom are very anti-Christian in various measures. Pope Francis has visited with all of the world's glitterati, might say Illuminati, and he seems to be really enamored with this, like Paul VI. Instead of being enamored with the sacrament, the re-sacrifice of Jesus at the altar, shedding his precious blood for us every time a Mass is held, these popes are like, here's a pop star. Cool. It's really pathetic. It's really embarrassing. It's as embarrassing as non-Catholic is cool, objectively, the TLM. But they don't get the full import. They're standing up for us. It would be kind of like if you're in fourth grade in the lunch line and the bully comes around. You're standing with a couple of your buddies. The bully comes around with a couple of his buddies. And he says, give me your lunch money. Your buddies flee. And then the bully's buddies are like, dude, don't do this. And they stick up for you. It's embarrassing. You'd be like, I'm embarrassed that these guys are my friends. I should make friends with the bully's buddies, I guess. Oh, and by the way, the bully is the Pope in this case. In the case of Paul VI. The Pope signed a document allowing, this is Paul VI, after the Agatha Christie letter, because he actually cares what the cultural grandees have to say. He signed a document allowing the bishops of England and Wales to grant permission for TLM masses to be offered on special occasions known today as the Agatha Christie Indule, just because he thought, oh, that's cool. Cool mystery writer. The new letter cited the 1971 appeal's argument that the TLM belonged to universal culture, which I would argue that's a pretty strong appeal. But mind you, these are secularists, some of them, making this appeal. Because the TLM had, quote, inspired a host of priceless achievements in the arts, not only mystical works, but works by poets, philosophers, musicians, architects, painters, sculptors, in all countries and epochs, end quote. This is a respectful equipoise for a non-Catholic to affect. And like, thanks for sticking up for the universal culture and the universal import of the Tridentine Latin Mass. Thank you. We'll take it. But they're doing so on cheesy, artsy grounds, you know? I mean, not even better than the modern art, by far, that you see in the Louvre or the Getty today. I mean, it's not even close. And they actually have the intellectual honesty, a lot of these secular guys who are signing the new Agatha Christie letter, to be like, look, it's just an amazing piece of art at the very least. We know that you Catholic guys, particularly these rigid trads, you guys believe that this means the re-sacrifice of Jesus, a bloodless sacrifice at the cross, and that it's the bread of life, better than manna from heaven. It's Christ in the flesh, body, blood, soul, divinity of Christ. I mean, you guys believe it's way higher than that, but at the very least, it is amazing, amazing visual and auditory art. And I'm not trying to debase it by giving the read that a secular person would give on it. I'm just saying that's what it is at the very, very least, from the most skeptical secularist's point of view. Today's letter, July 3rd letter, described rumors of a further Vatican crackdown on the TLM. This rumor was first aired in June by the website RETROGRADE, who do good work. That was Diane Montaigne who published that. As painful and confusing, particularly for the growing number of young Catholics whose faith has been nurtured by it. RETROGRADE reported that an attempt is being made to implement as soon as possible a Vatican document with a stringent, radical, and final solution banning the traditional Latin Mass. The pillar has not been able to confirm the existence of such a document. Now, that's the interesting part here. How confirmed is this? I do believe it. I don't believe every rumor I hear whispered out of Rome. There are various reasons why it's got real legs. Unfortunately, I wish it didn't. One, remember, Vatican Secretary of State, Cardinal Parolin. Two, it was widely rumored, almost universally rumored, that Traditionis Custodes 3 summers ago was just the beginning. Pope Francis said something to that effect. Number 3, the fact that Francis had a wait-and-see approach with Traditionis Custodes. He claimed initially that he was doing this in the name of restoring power to individual bishops, but was openly angry that more individual bishops didn't restrict the TLM. So number 4, it makes sense that there would be a new step toward a final solution.